There was a great article in the Financial Post that made me smile this morning as I was reading through it, and it was a survey of 500 business owners who, according to the report, said they were slightly more confident now than they were in the spring, and more than half of the businesses thought that life was going to improve much, much more in 2015. So the prospects going into next year look pretty good, and these business owners were pretty happy. Interestingly enough, business owners in BC were the most optimistic. And so if you're a business owner, where would you fall in on that spectrum? Do you think that given the economic downturn that we've just come through, maybe not just come through, but maybe everyone has now realized we're sort of through it. As a business owner, do you see light at the end of the tunnel? Do you still think it's tough to do business? I know in our experience, what we're seeing, and we have seen this for years now, because we work with businesses that are looking for less than $10 million in debt, what we have found is that most of them use their cash to survive the downturn. They've retooled their businesses, and while they've come out on the other side, their margins are a little bit thinner, but you know what? Entrepreneurs and business owners are pretty amazing. They found a way not only to make life work, but they found a way to be profitable over the last couple of years, and now their prospects, I think, for the future with the clients that we're seeing look pretty good as well. Thinking of a few that we've helped over this past summer where, yeah, I would say they're definitely optimistic. I mean, they're making decisions to position themselves for growth. They are still, cautious about the capital that they're borrowing, although they're not so concerned about the interest rate that they're paying today. Most times because the transactions that we get involved in are really multiple transactions. Usually will help facilitate a closing on a property or the purchase of a partner, and then we'll look to do a takeout transaction kind of after that. So I think I would share the sentiment that is seen in the survey, that we're seeing that business owners are pretty happy as well. I think, as you may have heard me share before, that if you're a business, you've made it this far, you're definitely well positioned to go into the future. I just finished reading a book called What I Learned Losing $1 Million, which is an older book, but it was an interesting read nonetheless on the psychology of how people lose money. But I share that because I think it's important that, notwithstanding there might be a light at the end of the tunnel, that a prudent business owner still has a plan. And maybe it's not articulated month over month, but certainly quarter over quarter or year over year, they should have an idea kind of where they're going, so that as life gets a little bit bumpy, or as the economy gets a little bit bumpy, that their business isn't shaken out of place. And so it was neat to see this article. It was neat to see that the optimism, generally speaking, across the country is that things are okay, and going into next year they're going to be better. So hopefully that encourages you a little bit if you are a business owner operating a business in Canada. That concludes this week's Emily Now episode. I'd encourage you to check out past episodes to maybe see some of the other topics that we've discussed. Obviously, would ask you to visit emilynow.ca if you need financing for your business. We're making it easier for you to access financing. You can get a score. You can see what your options are based on that score. It doesn't cost anything to use it. And if you want to take it to the next step, we're obviously there to help you, and we'd be happy to do so.